Hey friends, welcome to Prisha Patter and another story from the old green rocker. Job and his friends. An old saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Job was certainly a man in need, and he did have friends. His friends, however, remind me of the type of people my husband has often spoken of who teach us how not to act. Since we all have times when our friends are in need, it is good to reflect on how Job's friends treated him. In a book by Eugenia Price, No Pat Answers, she refers repeatedly to the cliches and phrases that people often use when trying to comfort someone. One thesis of her book is that there are times when no answer is better than a pat one. When my friend's child died, their grief was made greater at times by some of the comments that were made by friends. Job's friends sat in silence with him for 7 days and 7 nights. Job 2:13. Perhaps this is all anyone really wants in a time like this. Maybe just your presence says more than any comment you could ever make. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort those who are in trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. 2 Corinthians 1:3 and 4. Eliphaz, one of Job's friends, makes the comment, "If I say something, will you get mad at me?" How many times have we done that? Well, even if you do, I just have to say it. Job 4:1 and 2. My translation. To say, "I'm saying this for your own good," can be questionable. Sometimes I think we just want to sound pious. Job might not have complained to God. Chapter 7, verse 20, 10, verse 2, 30, verse 20, if his friends had just remained quiet and not hinted that the reason for Job's suffering was his sin. Chapter 4, verse 7, 8, verse 6, 22, verse 5. The first congregation my husband and I ministered with was in Meadowview, Virginia. A member of that church was a wonderful woman and a good friend named Hester. Whenever anyone had a death in the family or any kind of trouble, Hester never called to say, "Let me know if I can do anything." She just went to their home and started doing. I'm sure with all the trouble Job was having, he could have used some financial and physical help. His friends could have helped clean up the mess from the tornado. Chapter 1, verse 19. No wonder there were funeral arrangements. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you?
I can splice it.
Can you? No doubt there were funeral arrangements and cooking and cleaning for relatives to take care of. If the friends' wives had pitched in and helped Job's wife with all she had to do, maybe she would not have lashed out at Job. Chapter 2, verse 9. Job was probably in need of some money too, since all his worldly possessions had been taken away. Chapter 1, verse 14 to 17. Since he was taken ill, chapter 2, verse 7, he probably didn't get workman's comp or disability, so he missed all those days at whatever work he did. Job's friends were obviously financially independent enough that they were able to take off all those days from work to be with Job. They could have given him money, but there's no record that they even offered to. When the days of questions were over, most of the friends' comments seemed negative and rebuking. Eliphaz said, "Whoever perished being innocent?" Chapter 4, verse 7. Bildad said, "If you were pure and upright, surely now he would awake for you." Chapter 8, verse 6. Zophar said, "Should no one rebuke you?" 11:3. If we find ourselves in the situation Job's friends were in and decide to offer some choice words of wisdom, let's determine that they will be positive words. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that may...
Just back up a little bit and I'll splice it. Go back to the beginning of the sentence.
Let no corrupt communication...
Get a little pause there.
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. Ephesians 4:29. Matthew 5:4 says, Blessed are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted. I want to be one of those who comforts by being helpful, and especially by being quiet, unless I have something positive to say. Here's a little P.S. John Boy reminded me of what he and Jason used to say when they were little. I want to be a healthy helperton. So you go and be a healthy helperton today.